Have you ever found yourself waking up in the middle of the night, around 3 o'clock, and never being able to sleep again? The house is quiet, it's dark all around. The clock hands are barely moving, and you're lying there, feeling tired, but your eyes seem to stay open on their own. There are few thoughts, but the body is awake, and you do not understand why. This condition is familiar to millions of older people, and while many perceive it as an unfortunate part of aging, early awakening is actually more than just an age-related habit. It's a signal from the body, from the nervous system, from hormones, that your body is living according to a new rhythm. Modern sleep research shows that after 50–60 years of age, sleep structure does indeed change. Deep sleep phases become shorter, while light sleep phases become longer. This doesn't mean you're sleeping worse, it just means your brain is distributing energy differently between recovery and wakefulness. Sleep becomes more sensitive to light, temperature, emotions. Today we'll talk about 5 scientifically proven reasons why older people often wake up around 3 a.m. We'll discuss how hormones, your biological clock, your health, your habits, and your emotional state influence sleep. You'll learn that there's nothing wrong with your body. It just works differently. And if you notice that you have started waking up earlier than you would like, this is not a cause for alarm. This is an opportunity to get to know yourself better, understand how your body works, and learn to live in harmony with its rhythms. The first thing to pay attention to is the hormone that controls your sleep. It's called melatonin. Sometimes called the night hormone, it's produced in a special area of the brain, the pineal gland, and acts as the body's internal clockmaker. When the sun sets and it becomes dark, the eyes send a signal to the brain. Night has come, and the brain begins to secrete melatonin, a substance that reduces the activity of the nervous system, relaxes muscles, and slows the heart rate. The body is preparing for sleep. It is thanks to melatonin that you fall asleep easily, without even thinking about why. But with age, the process of melatonin production changes. Studies show that by the age of 60, its nighttime concentration can be reduced to half that of young people. This is not a disease or a disorder. It is a natural part of biological aging. The problem is that when melatonin levels drop too early, the brain receives a mixed signal. The night seems to be continuing, but the sleep hormone has already run out. As a result, a person wakes up, most often between 2 and 4 o'clock in the morning. Interestingly, such awakenings are observed even in healthy, physically active elderly people. That is, the reason is not stress, not anxiety, but pure physiology. It's just that the internal clock starts working with a slight shift. However, there is good news. This process can be gently adjusted. And you don't need pills for this. The key is to restore the natural signals that help the brain distinguish between day and night. The first piece of advice is light. Melatonin is sensitive to light. Even a dim light source at night, a street lamp, a phone screen, or a TV LED, reduces its production. Therefore, the bedroom should be as dark as possible. If possible, use thick curtains, a night mask, or turn off all flashing devices. The second tip is darkness before bed. Many habits prevent our body from understanding that the day is over. TV, tablets, and news before bed all emit cold blue light, which suppresses melatonin secretion. The brain perceives it as daylight and stops preparing for sleep. It's better to replace this hour before bed with reading in soft yellow light or a quiet walk. The third piece of advice is routine. Our body loves predictability. If you go to bed and wake up at the same time, even on weekends, your biological clock will stabilize. After a few weeks, the body itself will know when it's time to rest, and sleep will become deeper. The fourth tip is daylight. Older people often spend most of the day indoors, which deprives the body of an important signal. Natural sunlight. During the day, bright light suppresses melatonin production, but in the evening its level naturally increases. If there is little light during the day, the brain loses orientation and the night cycle is disrupted. Regular walks outside, especially in the morning, restore this rhythm. The fifth tip is to take a calm attitude towards awakenings. If you wake up at 3 in the morning, don't fight sleep. The more irritated you are, the more cortisol is produced, a stress hormone that completely blocks melatonin. It's better to take it calmly. Breathe a little, do a few relaxing movements, mentally thank your body for the rest. Often after such treatment, sleep returns on its own. The main thing to remember is that a decrease in melatonin is not a death sentence. This is simply a stage that can be gently compensated for by paying attention and respecting your body. The more you take care to give your body the right signals, darkness, silence, peace, the better it will respond with restoration. One of the most common reasons why older people wake up at 3 a.m. has nothing to do with hormones, but with the body's internal clock, the circadian rhythm. This is a natural 24-hour cycle by which all living things live: plants, animals, and of course humans. It regulates sleep, appetite, body temperature, heart function, liver function, hormonal activity, and even mood. Here are some tips that have proven to be effective. First, gradually shift your bedtime. If you're used to going to bed at 9 p.m., try delaying your sleep by 10 to 15 minutes each night until you reach your usual time. You shouldn't do this abruptly. The brain perceives abrupt changes as stress. Second, add activity in the afternoon. A short walk after dinner, some light exercise, or simply reading in a brightly lit room will help your body realize that the evening is not over yet. This will not only improve your circadian rhythm, but also strengthen your muscles, joints, and circulation. Third, watch the lighting. During the day, increase exposure to bright light, especially in the morning. Morning sunlight suppresses residual melatonin and helps the brain reset its internal clock. In the evening, on the contrary, the light should be soft, warm, and subdued. This way you give your body the right guidelines. The day is over, you can rest. Fourth, maintain social and cognitive stimuli. Talking to loved ones, socializing, watching educational programs, or reading in the evening help keep your brain active. When the mind remains engaged until late in the evening, the body is in no hurry to switch off prematurely. The most important thing is not to perceive early awakenings as a failure. Your body simply lives in a new rhythm, and once you realize this, irritation and anxiety go away. In their place comes respect for the body, which in its own wise way adapts to age. If you feel like you're going to bed and waking up earlier, it's not a sleep disorder. This is a sign that your internal clock is simply running a little faster. And like any clock, they can be adjusted, gently, with care, and without putting pressure on yourself. Nighttime awakenings are not always caused by hormones or biorhythms. Sometimes the body wakes up simply because it feels uncomfortable. As we age, our body becomes more sensitive to small details: position, temperature, even the texture of the sheets. What was previously unnoticed can now become a noticeable stimulus, and the brain reacts to it instantly. The most common physical cause of awakening is discomfort in the muscles and joints. With age, mobility decreases, the amount of cartilage fluid decreases, and joints become less flexible. If a person sleeps in one position for several hours, the tissues begin to experience pressure. Blood flow slows slightly, and the brain receives a signal. It's time to change position. This is already enough to wake you up. This is especially noticeable in cases of arthritis, osteochondrosis, or chronic back pain. During sleep, muscles relax, but ligaments and joints sometimes stiffen, and morning stiffness becomes more severe. Often such people wake up at 3 or 4 a.m., toss and turn, cannot find a comfortable position, and then cannot fall asleep for a long time. What can be done? Use an orthopedic mattress and a medium hard pillow. Try to lie down so that your spine remains in a neutral position. If your knees or back hurt, you can place a small pillow between your legs or under your lower back. Moderate stretching before bed, 3 to 5 minutes, reduces muscle tension and improves circulation. It is important to remember that if pain interferes with sleep regularly, this is not an age-related norm. Discuss treatment or light physical therapy with your doctor. Sometimes even changing your sleeping position or adjusting your medication can provide noticeable improvement. Another common reason for waking up at 3 a.m. is the urge to urinate at night, or nocturia. As we age, the bladder loses elasticity and holds less fluid. In addition, the production of the hormone vasopressin, which helps retain fluid at night in youth, decreases. Add to this the habit of drinking tea or water before bed, and you get the expected result. The body simply wakes up to get rid of excess fluid. This is not a disease, but if the urge to urinate becomes too frequent, more than 2 times a night, it is worth checking your kidneys and sugar levels. Sometimes nocturia can be a sign of hypertension or diabetes. Simple tips: limit fluid intake 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. Try to avoid drinking caffeine and alcohol in the evening. They enhance the diuretic effect. If you take medication for blood pressure or swelling, ask your doctor if you can move your dose to the morning. And most importantly, don't hold it in. If you wake up and feel the need to go to the bathroom, it's best to do so calmly, in dim light, without irritation. Sometimes just a change in attitude helps. Waking up in the middle of the night isn't a disaster. The main thing is to avoid turning on the light, checking your phone, or trying to wake up completely. This way, the brain returns to sleep mode faster. Body temperature is an important regulator of sleep. At the beginning of the night, it naturally decreases, helping us fall asleep. But if the room is too hot or cold, the body is forced to wake up to restore balance. In older people, thermoregulation works more slowly, so even a small deviation of 2 to 3 degrees can lead to awakening. The optimal bedroom temperature is about 18 to 20 degrees. If you are cold, it is better to use a light blanket made of natural fabrics than to increase the air temperature. Conversely, when it's hot, it's helpful to open a window slightly or turn on a humidifier. After retirement or a reduction in workload, many people's days become shorter. Older people often have dinner at 5 or 6 in the evening, and by 9 they feel sleepy and go to bed. The problem is that this routine shifts the entire sleep cycle forward. If you fall asleep at 9, your body completes the main sleep cycle within 6 hours. That is, by 3 in the morning. The body thinks it has slept well, although the night is not over yet. The solution is simple: try to move your dinner and bedtime at least an hour later. Even a small change, eating dinner at 6:30 p.m. and going to bed at 10 p.m., can restore a natural balance. It is important that the body understands that the evening is continuing and that melatonin does not begin to be released too early. Another habit is to move less during the day. Retirement, home life, television, the internet, all of this makes the day less physically intense. When the body moves less, it accumulates less fatigue, which means it is more difficult for the brain to maintain deep sleep. Even light activity, walking, swimming, gardening, helps maintain your circadian rhythm. Movement increases serotonin levels, which are used to produce melatonin in the evening. Thus, an active day creates conditions for a restful night. The advice is simple: Make movement a habit. If you don't have the opportunity to walk for a long time, 10 minutes of brisk walking after lunch and a short warm-up in the evening will be enough. The main thing is regularity. Many people underestimate the role of light, but it is he who controls our internal clock. When you spend the day in the dark, especially in winter, your brain loses its ability to clearly distinguish between day and night. As a